rates that we will pay to providers. This is a notoriously volatile area, so there is always the risk that the budget that's set is going to be deeply challenging. Well, it will be deeply challenging, but it could be more challenging than we otherwise hope. With the current position, particularly regarding number of clients, it is very difficult to be able to ascertain a reliable forecast for 21-22. The current year position is far more definite and far more certain, because we're nearly 9 months into the year. What I would say in respect of challenges that the department faces in this year is not just the T21 savings that are proposed, but also all those things that we have been saying for a few years now, and we would continue to say because they're still valid issues, such as the recruitment to the roles, both for us in HCC Care and for our providers, recruitment to their roles, the national living wage, the continuing growth in the number of clients that we're looking to support against the backdrop of reductions in funding, as well as those pressures that, certainly those inflationary pressures that the department sees. So, to summarise, we have a budget position that's been set within the cash limit. It represents a reasonable and prudent assumption around activity for next year. Whilst it will be challenging, it is within the department's realm to be able to achieve that budget. But as we've known and we've seen in previous years, that as we go through the year, that position can change. And at that point, we would then be reporting corporately. What I would also say is the key assumptions that we built in within the budget are ones that myself and the executive director have agreed with corporate colleagues, and we've taken those forward into this budget setting. What I would say at this point is, in respect to the fees and charges, we have set those fees and charges at 2.3%, which is an estimation of which reflects CPIH, Consumer Price Index, including housing, and an allowance for national living wage growth. The only variation from that is the Meals on Wheels, which has been set based on the contracted inflation increase, plus the additional 2.5%, which has been delegated to the Executive Director for Adults, Health and Care that is to 2.5%, is to reflect the fact that we are currently paying a supplement, or we're subsidising, the Meals on Wheels rate, and that over a period of time we previously agreed that we would rectify that situation gradually, and this reflects that pulling back of that position. I estimate that the next year's increase, not next year, but the 22-23, would very likely be the last significant increase above the contractual rate, at which point you would then be charging the same cost for Meals on Wheels as the cost to us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions in respect of what's been presented this afternoon?
Can I just ask, Dave, in Annex 2, where you've gone through, just because you're talking about the charges and Meals on Wheels and that, you talk about increasing Orchard Close and Jacob's Lodge, but you don't mention Newcroft or Hindson House. Is that because their prices have not gone up?
Sorry, let me just find the report. Apologies. No, those should be all of the units would incur 2.3. So thank you for mentioning that. I'll make sure that we amend the report, or certainly reflect that in future reports, that they should all be subject to the same inflationary uplift.
Okay, thank you. Right, Councillor Huxford, any questions so far?
No questions, Madam Chairman. You know the result of the HASC.
Yes, I do. Councillor Keast? Okay, thanks. Do you want to move on now, Dave, to
Capital? Yeah, the capital report is very much simpler. Again, it's to approve the revised budget for 2021 and the proposed budget for 21-22. Excuse me. The proposed budget for 21-22 basically includes about £14.2 million for the Disabled Facilities Grant, which is processed and transferred directly to the districts and the boroughs. It also includes £481,000 general contribution, in effect corporately, to the Adults Capital Programme for utilisation within the HCC Care estate. And it also includes £855,000 that's been transferred from the current year's capital programme. That £855,000 will be transferred into next year, and at which point it will then be converted into revenue and given to P&R revenue, along with £2.2 million of a corporate contribution, so that we have circa just under £3 million of emergency health and safety urgently required works to the HCC Care estate. That is the capital programme in its entirety. The revised programme is predominantly just this year's programme plus the amount that we rolled forward from the previous year. As I highlighted in the HASC earlier on, there does appear to be a disparity between the 2 years, but primarily that is because we have all of the spend for the current programmes in 2021. There will be an underspend, and that will be slipped after year end, when the underspend is identified, into the 21-22 capital programme.
Thank you. Graham, do you want to add anything to that?
No, thank you, Councillor Fairhurst. Nothing particular to add. I would just make the general comment, I should have made it earlier, my apologies, that we had offered a briefing session to opposition members last Thursday, and neither opposition leads joined us for the meeting, and subsequently we had an apology from Councillor Frankham, but we've had no comment or question from either of the opposition members in relation to any of the items on your decision day today.
Super, thank you. Any questions about the capital budget, Councillor Huxted?
Yes, if I may. We've got an allocation for extra housing, this extra care housing, but we've got no numbers attached to that. I mean, how many extra care units are we going to get as a result of this budget?
I'm glad you've raised that, Councillor Huxted, because it was raised at the briefing, but I knew we weren't going to be able to get the information in time. However, I do have the information now. So for the younger adults extra care housing, there have been, for the £35 million, there have been 113 supported housing units delivered, and upon completion of the full programme, it's anticipated there will be 135 supported living units made available.
That's excellent, because that's a good news story, and it needs to come out in this decision document, if at all possible.
Thank you. You're right, Councillor Huxted. It is a good news story, and we did have, I think it was Kit Malthouse lined up to visit one of our supported living for younger adults, but then the crisis started, and we haven't been able to do it since. Yes, and it's also very difficult to get people to take an interest in it, to be honest. But it is a really good news story and something that we should be very proud of doing.
I agree, and if it assists Councillor Fairhurst, clearly both in relation to older adults but also younger adults, we have over a period done a whole range of press releases, and indeed there have been a whole variety of visits. I think it might be worth, given Councillor Huxted's comment, that actually what we look to do is a further update, and we can build on previous releases and so on that we've issued, with regard to individual schemes, but also a bit of a look forward as well. You know, it's one of those notoriously difficult things in a way. Either the building is built and everyone takes it for granted, or it's something we're planning to do and nobody's interested until it's there. But we can look to find a way and do some further communications on it.
Yeah, and the other problem is once we've got residents living there, you can't just walk in and show people because this is their home, you know, and they've got a right to privacy just as much as you or I have in our own homes. So
absolutely, and we have on multiple occasions made the offer, particularly to members of HASC, to visit schemes before they become occupied. So you know, again, we can make those kinds of offers available.
We can but try. Sorry, Councillor Huxted.
Yes, if Jane Bittler is thinking of a press release following this decision day, perhaps it could be covered there.
Yes, I'll take that on board. Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, the only comment I would make is obviously this report doesn't, the £35 million is subject to a previous decision. There is nothing new in this report. It's not like we're adding another £10 million. This is a decision that's already been made. We're just really updating on the progress. So I think it's absolutely, it's very much a success story, both from a service user point of view, and I unashamedly would say from a savings delivery point of view. It achieves both outcomes admirably. But I just want to emphasise the report doesn't state that there's any new funding. It's a continuation of what we've already had approval for. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, that's right, Dave. And in the same way as extra care is a great thing, but actually it's only the people who live there or their relatives who know and appreciate it. And again, that's just another problem we have in getting over just how. Anyway, Jane, we'll leave it all to you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fairhurst.
Dave, Councillor Keast.
Councillor Keast, you're on mute.
You're still on mute.
Sorry about that. Yes, I'm just going to say that I think councillors were offered visits to extra care home as far back as the Gosport one's being put. So I seem to remember invites going out for that. But no, I agree. It is good news that nothing.
Is everyone frozen, or is it just me?
Nothing to add to that. I can see everybody. Can everybody see?
Yes, I can see you, and everybody.
Yes, I can see you and hear you.
Everybody's gradually going. We're down to 3 of us now. 4 of us. Liz has gone. Back again.
Everyone's back.
We need to hear you, Liz.
You're on mute, Liz, I think.
Sorry, I got thrown. Well, I thought you had all frozen. The next thing I knew, I was out. So I'm sorry about that. So I'll tell you what, before anything else goes wrong, can we just go to the recommendations and approve those? I'm very happy to approve both of those. So thank you, Dave. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Just in case it all goes wrong again. Right. Thank you all very much. And speak to you later. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fairhurst. Bye.
Bye.